do. Ba-ba-da-bum-ba-dum. Getting everything set up. Get it all set up. All right. Get my phone there so I can kind of see maybe some chat there. All right. What is going on? Happy Thanksgiving Eve to everybody. We are diving into some more cleaning and labeling of my Nintendo 64 collection here. We got my stickers out. Once again, I got some classic YouTube videos kind of queued up this time to kind of watch through and have a good time watching it again. Some of the old creators I used to enjoy watching back in the day who some of them don't make content anymore, some do, but it's cool to go back and kind of look at the old videos from time to time, especially ones you might have forgotten about. And yeah, just check them out. So let me grab a stack of N64 games and we'll start getting back into cleaning some more of these things. Man, looks like my camera is sitting up real high. Let me try to tilt it down a little bit better. But yeah, let's go ahead and get Games of War here going. And he's talking about some PS2 RPGs. Let's get into it.
Totally unmatched in terms of its diversity and sheer number of titles. The PS2 has got something for everyone, an immense library with a ton of great games, and some of my favorite RPGs of all time are on the system. Now, I know the PS2 is home to a lot of mainstream RPGs like the Final Fantasy series, Dragon Quest VIII, and those are excellent games, don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to talk about them in today's episode. I want to dig a little deeper and see what's to offer hiding below the surface. So hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching as always. So what a way to begin on the PS2. We've got a couple entries from one of my favorite, if not my favorite, traditional RPG series that's still going on today, the Tales of series. Absolute huge fan of this series.
I just picked up Tales of Legendia myself recently. And it was like the last one I kind of needed for the collection. So I have that one. But again, I have all of them, but have yet to. I've only played like two of them, two or three. So I got a lot of work to do on the Tales series.
I absolutely love each entry. I have every collector's edition, every game released in North America. The PS2 was in fine form with a couple of games released pretty close together, Tales of the Abyss and Tales of Legendia. Now, Tales of the Abyss is pretty well known amongst fans of the series. It's up there as one of the best in terms of quality and overall storyline. I absolutely love Tales of the Abyss. A lot of people complained about the main character Luke being like a whiny bitch, kind of annoying. But overall, it's kind of integral to the story. You kind of watch Luke's transformation as the game goes on. What starts off is your main character is like a selfish, like a spoiled rich kid that's been stuck in a castle all of his life. He knows nothing of outside world and outside customs. He's being used to handed everything on a platter and served up by yes men everywhere. So it's kind of cool to watch Luke go outside the castle and find out how life really works, and not everyone's kissing his ass, and he has a hard time with that in the beginning. But over time, as the story progresses, you find that he becomes much more likable. There's some huge plot twists, a gripping story. The skits are all amazingly well done, great voice acting. Visuals are amazing looking in Tales of the Abyss. Overall, just a really solid entry in the series. Now, Tales of is a traditional RPG series, overworld exploration, towns, leveling up, all that good stuff. Great voice acting. The battle system was kind of a first for the time. Only a couple other RPGs.
I was talking with Returning Mother Base about Tales of the Abyss because I didn't know like what's the better version to get, PS2, 3DS, and I mean just the load times I've done some research on for the PS2 version are just insanely long. So, but I think it probably looks nicer on the PS2.
Did it when you go into the battles? It's kind of like a fighting game brawler. Combos, run around on the map, no turn-based, so it's an action combat system that's really enjoyable. Some great combos. Each series entry kind of refines the combat as they come out, so the combat is definitely a high point in Tales of the Abyss, Legendia. A great combat system in all Tales games, and Abyss is no different. A great entry in the series, and one that you will be enthralled from start to finish. It keeps you in the story. It's not too hard to understand. It's a great entry. If you've never played a Tales game, Abyss is a great place to start. Now, Tales of Legendia is definitely kind of like the odd man out in the Tales of series. It's done by, I believe, an American team. It wasn't done by the standard Tales team that usually does the entries in the series. So it's definitely got a different feel to it, a different graphical style. The combat system's a little different. It's kind of like a 2D straight side to side, going back like the old days of Fantasia. Really well done, though. I thought this was a really cool change of pace. I enjoyed the story and the setting, taking place in the Legacy, which is on this like giant ship in the ocean. Playing as Senel Coolidge, who's a really cool character. His sister early on gets taken, and she's kind of a key in these ancient relics that kind of all tie into this legacy in the ship. And the world is really well done. Once again, great skits, great combat. I prefer the 3D combat in like the Abyss and later entries, but it's a really cool battle system in Legendia 2, kind of the 2D side to side, and it just harkens back to the early days of the series. And the story is really well done. Some amazing cutscenes. There's also some really cool bonus content that opens up after you finish the game that really fleshes out the characters and the character development in this game. So what is looked at is definitely the odd man out in the series. Definitely give Legendia a shot. It's not like an Inner Tales game in the series, but it's still highly recommended. Two great entries in a long-running series that are fantastic on the PS2. Next up, we got a game from Square Enix that doesn't get enough love, in my opinion. Radiata Stories.
Up recently too.
This is done by Tri-Ace, who does the Star Ocean series, and what a fantastic game this is, man! One of the best-looking visual styles I've seen yet in like a PS2 game at the time. It's kind of like almost like a water pastel, almost cel-shaded look, but not really. The vibrant color palette, just a striking aesthetic visually. It looks amazing. Frame rate is 60 frames, and then battles is 30, so it's really smooth. Music is fantastic. The soundtrack is just a masterclass. And what I liked about this game is the humor in it, and it kind of reminds me of like a Square Enix Suikoden approach to gameplay, minus the 108 stars of destiny. In this game, you've got upwards of like 200 NPCs that you can recruit to your party, and each of these characters have like lives and personalities and daily routines. And it all flows by the game's time clock, night and day cycles.
This is one that just,
and you can recruit these different
like
characters
really good
and
for
learn
PS2
their
game.
traits and quirks, and
you don't hear it
form your
about
party
that
based
much.
on who you interact with, and it's tons, basically limitless options in terms of character recruitment. Man, so many different options, so many different characters. One of the things I really enjoy about Radiant Historia is the overall sense of humor in the game. It's a really funny game. The script is hilarious. Playing as Jack Russell, like on his 16th birthday, he wants to go off and join the Radiata Knights. So it's about his journey going to join the knighthood and trying to qualify and become a member. And he meets up with this girl, Ridley Silverlake, who has like been bred for war since she could walk. I mean, she's like a badass, no joke. And they're in this tournament, and she's up to fight this next guy who's like this fancy Captain Star or something. He's like walking with his head up, he's like all fancy, and he sees he's fighting Ridley, and he's like, oh, I got this little girl, I got this one, and she whips the shit out of him, man, and like they have to carry him out, and it's like it's overall it's just a really funny, charming game. The character recruitment is just endless possibilities. Visuals, music, fantastic, and the story is actually pretty good too. And I was really thrown for a loop playing this. I didn't really pay attention to any like reviews, or I didn't read anything about it. So the story kind of has like humans versus like fairies. So like humans on that side, and then the goblins, trolls, and there's comes a point in the story where you actually choose to fight on the human side or fight on the fairy side, which means multiple playthroughs, so you can see the story from either side, and each side has drastic different story ramifications. So really choose wisely, and on the human side or the fairy side, each with different stories to accompany. Fantastic RPG, very well done. I absolutely love Radiata Stories. The look of it, the gameplay, everything about it is one of my favorites on the PS2.
Always got to be careful when you
Next
get them
up, we've got
stickers that are
Draken the
really
Ancient's
close
Gate,
to
and this
the
was a
label,
big
but we
surprise
did
for
a
me
pretty good
personally.
job.
I knew nothing of the first
Not
game
getting
that was on
label.
PC first, and they were going to develop a sequel for it on the PC, and somehow something happened where midway through they got an offer from Sony, and they switched over to PlayStation 2 exclusive, and this was the follow-up
Wasn't there a
to that
game
early
of
PC
similar
game.
name for
And
Super Nintendo?
Draken the Ancient's Gate, and they knocked it out of the park. And they were really at a disadvantage because number one, they had been like a year in progress working on this game for PC. They got switched over to the PS2, and the PS2 was just coming out, and they knew nothing about the emotion engine, which was really, I guess, complex at the time and kind of hard to develop for. They had to really figure it out, so they were kind of learning on the fly, tailoring this game to the strengths of the PS2. And overall, they did a fantastic job. I mean, the end product, the game looks amazing. There's huge vistas, deep valleys, lakes, man. Really good visuals, vistas that go on forever.
I'm not
And
going
what
to worry
sold me on
about
this
getting
game
the
is I've
name
always
off
been a
of it
sucker
right now,
for a
'cause it
dragon
can take
game, whether you had like a
forever
dragon
rubbing
companion you could
alcohol.
fly
You kinda
on,
need
or just
other
I
stuff to kind
always
of
love
get that off
dragons.
easier. So
This is
I'm gonna
kind
leave
of
that
like
on
a
for now
wanted
because
layer
the
to
rest
be
of
on
it's
PS3.
clean.
Like if you could actually get on the dragon and have a world to explore and not just be like on rail shooting all the time. But I digress. Dragon is fantastic. It kind of reminds me of like a Tomb Raider-ish kind of game. Controls and combat kind of reminds you of like the N64 Zelda's lock on that. You've got swords, you've got sword play, you've got excellent combat, and you've got magic. And Rin is a really cool heroine to play as. She is cool, she's tough, and about I'd say like 5 hours in, I finished this game back in the early days of the PS2. I think it's about after the first main dungeon, which I've got to say the indoor locales are super detailed. Everything looks great. And then as you get outside, when it opens up and you've got these huge vast lands, it still looks pretty damn good. But I want to say after the first dungeon, about 5-6 hours in, you get your dragon companion, Arok, and you're able to kind of mount his back at will and fly over the lands and get all these different dragon attacks and upgrade his attacks and fly through the lands. And in what seems like a vast, huge land on foot, takes forever to travel. You get on the back of this dragon, and it's still pretty fast, but it makes traversing the land so freaking cool. I just absolutely have always loved getting on dragon back and kind of sailing through the skies. The combat's great with the dragon. It's just an awesome game. The concept is so cool to me, and I was blown away that they were able to pull this off, especially kind of having a year setback, all PC, having to redo it from the PS2. They did a fantastic job. Action RPG, dragon riding, combat, everything comes together to form a very memorable game. Voice acting throughout, every character is voiced. It's quality
64.
voice acting. This is a really marvel on the PS2. Early game, so a lot of people forgot about this. So if you haven't checked out Dragons, I think it's dirt cheap. This is definitely an awesome
Never
action
really heard
RPG.
of that one.
Definitely check it
PS2,
out.
so.
Next up, we've got a game from a company that is one of my personal favorites, Vanillaware, which, by the way, as of recording this video today, 13 Sentinels finally came out. It's the next game from Vanillaware. Maker
Vanillaware. A game company that, like on YouTube, a lot of YouTube retro gamers or gamers praise their games, really enjoy their games. Not me so much. Visually, they always look really good, but as far as like gameplay and combat and stuff in them, I never could really get into them. Again, I've only tried Dragon's Crown because I think they did that game. If I'm wrong, correct me. Muramasa, that one was okay. But again, visually stunning. But their games aren't typically ones that I flock to try to play. So I heard tons of good things about 13 Sentinels. That's definitely got to be one I got to try out in the future. But it like mix it up big time, I think, from their other games. Like this is more, I think 13 Sentinels is more visual novel. I know it's got some combat stuff in it too, if I'm not mistaken, where a lot of their earlier games were like these 2D side-scrolling kind of like fighting style game RPG things. So I don't think that's how the combat is in 13 Sentinels, but I could be wrong.
of Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown. I've been waiting for this game forever, it seems like. Finally is out today. Looks like an awesome blend of kind of mech storytelling, beautiful visuals as always. Vanillaware, makers of Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown, they've got that certain distinct style, man, it just pops off the screen. The art is so distinct and looks so good. Now, Odin Sphere came out and hit big. Everyone loved it, and then Dragon's Crown came out after that. And in the middle was Grim Grimoire, and this kind of got lost in the shuffle. It didn't get much attention as either of those games.
King Griffey Jr.
And it's a shame. It's a really good game. Definitely a different kind of take on an RPG. Now, in terms of story, it's kind of got like a Harry Potter-ish kind of vibe to it, where you're attending this academy. It's your first day. Lilith Blonde, you play
like
as,
Harry
and
Potter.
you meet all your instructors and your fellow students, and then some storyline elements happen, and it's really interesting right off the bat. And then kind of a Groundhog Day thing happens to where you're forced to relive these first 5 days over and over again. And there's definitely some treacherous things going on with the students, and not the students, rather the faculty, the head wizard, and a few other of the teachers and instructors. Definitely some shady shit going on, and this Groundhog Day thing forces you to relive these days, so you see the story from multiple angles, and the real-time strategy elements work really well. I know a lot of times it's hard to get real-time strategy working right on a console, but Vanillaware has done it. It's really cool to kind of order your troops around the screen, and you can kind of scroll, and the screen moves as you see big enemies coming down. And it's all done in that beautiful Odin Sphere, Dragon's Crown kind of art style. I'm a big fan of kind of like light tower defense elements mixed with real-time strategy, protecting your allies and ordering them around the screen, ordering them to move and attack, and it all happens in real time. It's a lot of fun. The story is great. This is definitely one that's been forgotten in the shuffle of huge like Dragon's Crown, Odin Sphere. I mean, it gets lost in the
Stack
shuffle.
complete.
It's definitely not deserved. Definitely check out Grim Grimoire if you're a fan of strategy games, real-time strategy games. You're not going to be disappointed. It's got that trademark Vanillaware look, huge animated characters and portraits, and great voice acting. Definitely check out Grim Grimoire. It's a fantastic strategy RPG. So if you're a fan of strategy RPGs in the PS2, you've definitely got a lot to choose from. The Disgaea games, which in turn kind of spawned off a sequel to that. I absolutely loved Laharl in the first Disgaea, really good game. The La Pucelle Tactics, Makai Kingdom, Phantom Brave, I mean the list goes on of just an immense library of strategy RPGs. One that I think gets lost in the shuffle as well is Stella Deuce, Gate of Eternity. And once again, the storyline.
Haven't really heard a lot about this one.
And
Stella
it started
Deuce.
off like all the world was being engulfed in this deadly miasma, which is kind of like going to bring about the end of the world. And it's like, shit, here we go again, a deadly mist creeping over the world. I mean, how many times have we had to deal with a deadly mist that's going to ruin the world? But what did it for me with this game was the characterization and the story characters and the character development. I really kind of connected with the characters.
Just
the
got this yesterday.
RPG gameplay is definitely rock solid. It's not anything new, or you're not going to be blown away by it. But I just fell in love with the game's characters and the story, and I really enjoyed the kind of hand-drawn, like high-res look to it. Your strategy grid, RPG gameplay, you know the drill by now. So if you're looking for something that flew under the radar in terms of strategy RPGs, definitely check out Stella Deuce. I absolutely love the story and characters. The gameplay was great. 50 hours I think it took me to beat this game, but overall a fantastic, well-told story, great-looking game. Don't let this one slip by. I definitely have to give some love to the Dragon Guard series. And it's interesting, when I first played the Dragon Guard originally way back
64
in the early 2000s, I thought it was like a really mediocre game. I'm like, man, this gameplay is like so repetitive and boring, and it's not a good looking game. The combat system, the combos are all pretty standard by the book stuff. It wasn't until about halfway through the game that this crazy story with Kaim, and it just I'm not going to spoil anything. You've got to play it to believe it. But once again, what drew me to these games was the concept of being able to summon a dragon and ride in the back of a dragon and torch enemies, and then jump off the dragon and go back into combat, which you can in both of these games. And the second one does it pretty well, and it looks pretty good. But play these games for the story. And this also ties into one of my favorite series that's going now, which is Nier. I believe one of the alternate endings in Nier was one of the endings from Dragon Guard. I can't remember how it works. It's been a while since I played Dragon Guard. But I know that it ties into Nier, and it's part of the series. Of
course, we have it complete in box
back
here.
It's just a fantastically
dark, so I can play it.
Twisted tale. I shit you not. My mouth kind of dropped open a couple times because it's just a very shocking story and multiple endings, and you're going to want to play them all and see them, and you'll see how it ties into Nier, which is a fantastic series, really underrated, which I think more people have caught on to Nier these days. But this is where it started. Dragon Guard is a fantastic series. Get past the repetitive and kind of boring combat initially, because the story will pick up and you'll kind of forget how kind of subpar the gameplay is. The second one kind of steps it up and it's a little better, but it's an action RPG, hack and slash, dragon riding, and it's
gameplay is pretty important for me. So if you're saying it's subpar,
I really do love this series, and it's grown on me over the years.
Really good story.
Fantastic.
To get me,
I definitely have to give mention to one of my favorite series in the PS2, Shadow Hearts, and this is an RPG series that is.
Oh yeah.
It started off at the first game as very unconventional. I was going into it expecting like an RPG. I didn't know what kind, but it's definitely not the little kids save the world lighthearted stuff, man. Shadow Hearts is dark. It is often macabre. I remember getting to the first town and you know something's wrong right off the bat, and you start talking to these people.
I love it when, of course, I love my classic turn-based JRPGs, but I love it when they can mix the combat up in something like Shadow Hearts did, using that kind of timing system with your attacks to give you some bonus damage and stuff. I think Grandia kind of did something like that too. If I'm not, well, they had the bar, I think, going up, and you kind of go with a bar on attack, if I remember correctly. Because you hear Claire Obscure being nominated for Game of the Year this year, getting a lot of high praise for how they did their combat system in their game, where people were like, oh, they've rejuvenated, revived the turn-based JRPGs. But they're RPGs back in the day that were doing like these kind of things with timing. I mean, even the Paper Mario games or Super Mario RPG, using timing to defend and all that stuff. So it's not a new concept. So it's cool to see like even games these days are like incorporating those back into it, because that is kind of little stuff that I miss with that could like up it just a notch for some of the combat to keep people on their toes so they're not just hitting X, going through menus the whole time. I think that's pretty cool. Even though, again, I love my Dragon Quest and my classic turn-based JRPGs.
People, and they you kind of get trapped in there, and you realize you're in a town full of cannibals, and these fuckers want to like kill you. And to
Shadow
go along
Empire.
with the dark and macabre setting of the first game, I was introduced to the battle system in the Shadow Hearts series, which runs on kind of like a Grandia-ish kind of system where it's timing based. It's like a judgment ring where it's like a circle, and you can time it just right for more powerful attacks. It's really addictive, and it becomes a lot of fun to play the combat in this because you can time it just right, and it's just an enjoyable battle system. It's really clever, well thought out, and it complements the gameplay. To me, the series got better with the second one. The third one kind of went off the rails a little bit. It's been a while since I played the third one, but I enjoyed the first two immensely. Something very different, very dark in nature, and something that is
choice version.
definitely
So
geared
we get
toward
to
a more
use our
adult
first
kind
like
of RPG
player's
player.
choice
If you're kind
sticker
of sick
thing.
of the
Nice.
save the world, young medieval style, this is definitely going to be something that's right up your alley. You'll fall in love with these games if you're looking for something a little different. I definitely did. It's a great series. I definitely have to give special mention to the Shining Force series of games in the PS2. One of my favorite strategy RPG series of all time, up there with Fire Emblem. I have every game in the series.
I don't.
When
I
it
think
came
I
out for the PS2 and I
have
saw Shining Tears, I remember it specifically
the
because
middle one
Shining
there,
Tears came out
Neo,
the same day
Shining
as God
Force
of War,
Neo
so I went
one,
to
and I
GameStop,
actually really
and I picked
like
up God
that. I
of
need
War
to go
and
back
Shining
and
Tears
play
when I
that
got home.
game.
And I
Action
popped in Shining
RPG,
Tears
leveling
first,
up,
and what
getting
I was
some
treated to was
loot.
an action RPG, all hand-drawn, great looking game right away. The pastel, hand-drawn, very light look to it. It looked amazing. Started off with, once again, like an amnesia story. You wake up on the banks of this town, your name is Zion, and you're woken up and taken to the inn, and they kind of revive you, and you're found with these pair of rings on you. These are these twin dragon rings, and the story kicks off from there, and you meet different characters, and you bond together and team up, and it's like a co-op game. It's like a little hack and slash RPG where you can kind of team up, and you've got tons of characters on screen, and you're hacking and slashing.
Can you play co-op?
Depending on which character you choose to team up with, you meet like a dragon man and like a wolf man, and these different characters that are all pretty well fleshed out. You put on these dragon rings, and you kind of shift into like this demonic character, and you react differently with different characters that you are partied up with. Then the dragon rings will react differently, and you'll kind of shift personalities and become like a darker version or like a different kind of version. Here. And it opens up all kinds of different story possibilities depending on which party you choose, which members you have in your party, and kind of lead to different multiple endings. Really solid like hack and slash gameplay. It was really cool to play a two-player game in the Shining series. I definitely didn't know what to expect. I knew it wasn't a strategy RPG,
Man, that is
but
awesome.
I didn't know what
if you
kind of
could play
direction
that.
Sega was
I gotta
going, but I
confirm
definitely
that,
found out
'cause
quick.
I think that one has a bit of a bigger price tag on it, but if it actually is two players, like I'm always looking to have some co-op action. Shining Tears. Okay, no, that's not that bad. So Shining Tears, $30 game. Nice. Tears have local co-op. Uh-oh, Google's having trouble. It is co-op at least a certain point in the game. It allows co-op as far as I remember. Okay. Yeah, Shining Tears has local co-op, allowing two players to team up on a single console. Player 1 controls the main character, while player 2 controls the partner character. Sweet. That has got to be... That is going to be a purchase then soon. Nice.
Now with Shining Force Neo and EXA, they kind of abandoned the multiplayer aspect and focused on more of a solid single player. Once again, like a hack and slash RPG. The production value definitely went up
Neo,
with both
yeah,
games.
That's one I got.
A single player with animated cutscenes and like a huge sweeping story arc. Shining Force Neo has some of the cheesiest voice acting.
I remember in Neo when I had initially played it, there were some parts of it like it was tough. I was getting stuck in it. Like man, I was getting creamed. So I would go farm and stuff and level my guy up. But back then, that was something that was kind of irritating me now. But these days, I love farming in a game. So I definitely need to go back and tackle this series on the PS2.
In a Shining, it's pretty cheesy stuff.
And these style of games always look good in like remasters and stuff, but I don't think these were popular enough to ever like get a remaster, so it'll probably never happen. But I bet you these would look beautiful with a little HD remaster action.
Man, you play as a guy named Max, and you are kind of trying to get these force powers and kind of
Another stack
use
gun.
the force. It's almost like a Star Wars thing. Like the force is like the main driving thing, and you want to master the force and become like high up and use this power. And you got these enemies that are invading your town, and it's a really cool hack and slash game, minus the co-op, but it's really strong focus on single player story, and the characters are all cell shaded almost, really dark black outlines, so everything's really easy to see, almost like a CG kind of generic look to Shining
actually
Force
really
Neo.
enjoyed the old
But it's a really cool story, and it's really detailed in terms of
Would always
production
play
value.
with my uncle
The
and
cutscenes that
cousins,
unfold, the
and
story unfolds. Cheesy voice
we'd
acting
have a
aside, I really
blast.
enjoyed the his hero Max. I enjoyed his hilarious shit that he says. Lots of cool hack and slash gameplay and a pretty epic single player storyline. EXA takes that concept a little further, playing as Toma. This one adds like a really cool element of the Geo Fortress, along with like a sweeping single player story arc, hacking and slashing, beautiful towns to explore, beautiful vistas, beautiful open lands. You've also got this Geo Fortress that you kind of construct this like fortress, and as you're out doing battle, continuing through the storyline, you'll kind of be summoned back to the fortress, and kind of like enemies will be invading. You got to come back to the fortress and defend your fortress. And as you defend these onslaughts of enemies, your fortress can be leveled up, and you can kind of add on different rooms and make it more powerful. And it becomes like a central hub and a focal to the story point, making this Geo Fortress and expanding it and watching it grow. And the storyline is pretty detailed in this as well, kind of a King Arthur pull the sword from the stone type thing. And I really enjoyed EXA, man. I think that generally these games got better as they went on. I don't know if Sega plans on continuing the action RPG kind of theme in the Shining games. I know that we got Shining Refrain or whatever on the Switch was a little different, but this was a great series, and I think it got better with each game. EXA looked great. The visuals were top notch. The voice acting was pretty good in this one. Very beautiful hand drawn aesthetic, and just overall great single player RPGs for the second two. The first one was more of a co-op hack and slash.
Shining Refrain. I have to look that up real quick. I didn't know we still had the Shining series going these days. Stand by. Shining Refrain? Oh, Shining Resident. Okay. Now I remember this one. I remember it now. I'm looking up the Shining series here just to see. Are they going to do any more new stuff? Shining Resonance Refrain. Enhanced port of Blade Arceus from Shining, the edition extras for Shining. Yeah, it doesn't look like there was a mobile game set to come out, but yeah, it looks like. I don't know. The PlayStation 3 version was the 5th best-selling game in its release week in Japan for Resonance Refrain. Okay. Then Resonance was out on the PS3. Blade Arceus. What is this? A fighting game? Yeah, it's mainly those older Shining games that I really want to start getting into and playing, but
they got better as they went on. And if you're looking for something a little different, if you're looking for a strategy RPG, kind of similar to the early Genesis games, or like a first-person dungeon crawler like Shining in the Darkness or Shining the Holy Ark, you might be disappointed. But if you like hack and slash action RPGs, I think you're gonna like these, and they definitely got better as they went on. And I'm a big fan of the story-driven games, and I think they're worth checking out. Probably my favorite RPG in the PS2 has got to be Rogue Galaxy. I'm a big fan of Level 5. I absolutely love what they did with the Dark Cloud games. I really like the Dragon Quest 8. This game just took it and knocked it out of the park for me. I'm a real sucker for like space pirates or anything involved.
Speaking of Level 5, again, that's a channel. I think I mentioned it in the last stream. Benzo. Man, I don't know what happened. Hope everything's okay with him. But another one of those channels who I loved all their content and videos they had and made, and just all the videos are down now. I always want to go back and watch some old, because I have a bad memory. So for me, it's nice to go back and like watch videos like this again. Even though I've seen this Games of War video before, I forget it. Like I forget everything about it. So going back all these years later and rewatching it, it's always fun. And then those content creators who I used to enjoy watching back in the day, who just don't make stuff anymore, just stinks that their old videos are gone. Because I would like to go back and watch some of their stuff sometimes, and it's just there's no way. Everything's gone into the ether now. It's no more. So unless they just made it all private and they can unprivate it one day, but it stinks, man, because he had some good stuff I really wanted to go back and watch. So, but Rogue Galaxy, another one I definitely need to play.
In outer space, where you can kind of get in your ship and kind of leave your planet and go explore a galaxy. This is that game. I wasn't sure how they were going to pull this off in the PS2 because I was reading previews about how epic and scope this world was. Man, they pulled it off. Like almost no load times. Like these planets are all diverse. I was surprised by how many different locales you can visit and just how diverse each location looked. The storyline was amazing, and it kind of spanned like this huge space opera, man. And the combat was kind of like a Star Ocean-ish kind of battle system, so it's action-based, so it's not turn-based. So you're going to be hacking, slashing, combos, upgrading your moves, the standard RPG stuff, exploring towns and different races on the different planets. Everything came together to form this huge, epic space RPG that definitely pushed the PS2 to its limits in terms of size and scope. I wasn't quite prepared for just how epic Rogue Galaxy is. I don't want to spoil anything with the story, but Jaster Rogue is a cool character. Voice acting is top notch. I was completely blown away by the sheer size of this game and just how well it was done. I think they released it for like the PS4 or the PS3 or PS4, and it looks really good on there as well. But man, on the original PS2, Rogue Galaxy, kind of like Skies of Arcadia for me, where I love space pirates and kind of the world out in the stars, even Infinite Space on the DS. But just a masterclass of a role-playing game. Very similar systems to kind of like Dragon Quest in terms of upgrades and how they explain everything, the menus. You can tell it's a level 5 game through and through. I was so high on this game that when White Knight Chronicles came out, I think that was the next game on the PS3 shortly after this, because this came out like pretty close to the end of the PS2's life cycle. Going into White Knight Chronicles, I was kind of let down because I had such high expectations for level 5. But that's just how high in regard this game is. So this was level 5 at the top of their game for me in the PS2 era. One of my favorites in the system, and definitely worth your time. Hope you guys have enjoyed taking a look at some of my favorite RPGs in the system. The PS2 is definitely one of those systems that's got something for everyone. An immense library of games, role-playing games, strategy RPGs, traditional. There's something for everyone. The system is a masterclass. The library is so much fun to explore, and it holds up well to this day. So this is a few of my favorites. There's definitely something for everyone on this list alone. Hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for watching. As always, Games of War is absolutely nothing without you.
Greetings, everyone.
Of course, I enjoyed it, Mr. Games of War. Awesome stuff all the time. Again, another person who I wish was continuing to make stuff these days, but things happen. People no longer want to do YouTube. I understand. I have my moments where it's like, why don't I even do this still either? But it's fun. It's fun every once in a while to come on still and do something like this, just removing stickers off games. So yeah. Now right here on this game, this is Resident Evil 2. I got a sticker on the end here, and I can't tell when peeling it up if it's part of the sticker or the label that's coming up. I want to say it's actually part of the label. So definitely this is going to be one I want to upgrade in the future. Got a little rental store sticker on it, but for now, I'm going to leave things be right there just so I don't screw it up anymore. And I don't think, if anyone's curious of how many games I actually got in my 64 collection, I'll go ahead and bring up my Game Eye app for you now and show you guys. Because I added like 2 new ones yesterday. So we can bring it up and I can sort it by console. Nintendo 64, apply. And it looks like we have 109 games for my 64 collection. If you can kind of see that. I know it's kind of blurry, but it's kind of right there. And yeah, so 109. Not too bad. What is it? 269, 249 in the library? I can't remember. 294, 296. There we go. 296. So 296. I'm at 109. Really, without even really trying. Like, this is kind of laid back, collecting on a 64, stuff that's just always coming in, collections that I'm buying. That's pretty much the way these things are getting into my possession. So pretty cool. Oh man, what is wrong with the screen's all black? Rewind here. I had my stream up on my phone. There we go. Not black anymore. So yeah, this all these pretty much just added to the collection for free. Like, just growing it, buying out the collections and everything. So pretty cool. But this is definitely one, this Resident Evil one, that I will want to upgrade just because I love Resident Evil and want to have these all like complete in box one day. But the price gap when you're going for complete in box like N64, Super Nintendo from a loose cart can get insanely high. Like, the jump can be crazy. But out of the 109 games that I do own on the Switch or the Nintendo 64, let's go ahead and count the box copies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 1, 22. I believe I have 22 that are complete in box, or at least have a box. I know, like, my Ogre Battle 64 is missing its manual, but yeah, so pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So next up on the playlist here, we have the RPG Swag Man, Wanderer from the Past. I think he kind of changed his name to. But he's talking about his top 10 favorite RPG series, like an RPG themed stream today. So let's get into the RPG Swag Man and check out this classic that he made ages ago.
My 100th video on YouTube. Now, I wanted to go all out with, high-end video production and lots of great voiceovers and everything, but I don't have the time or money. So I'm just going to give you the vanilla version of my top 10 favorite RPG series of all time.
Pokemon
Now,
Snap, but it already
the
had one.
first one that I want to mention at number 10, a lot of people might be shaking their heads at me for saying this isn't really an RPG series, and to be perfectly honest, it's not an RPG franchise. However, there is a few games that I think do warrant calling them RPGs to a certain extent. Some RPG elements in this series of games, or sub-series of games, has some areas where it's not much of an RPG, but in others it does. And for me,
WrestleMania
it's
2000,
one of my favorites,
one of my
and that
favorites.
is the action RPG Castlevania games for number 10. Of course, I am talking about Symphony of the Night, Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, well, not so much Harmony of Dissonance, Aria of Sorrow, Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Order of Ecclesia. And I've also want to mention Curse of Darkness. And if anyone tells you that Curse of Darkness sucks because it's a 3D Castlevania game, I want you to go out and punch that person in the face. Because Curse of Darkness is a...
Disclaimer, I do not encourage actual violence. So differences with Street Fighter. Listen, I'm all for the Castlevania love. I love Castlevania. Again, like one of my favorite franchises going, or hopefully can continue to go. We haven't seen like a new entry for that in forever. But again, it does have like the RPG element, so I don't blame you for having it on this list at all. So yeah, put Castlevania on there. But I have not played the PS2 entries. So the stuff he's talking about, just because it's 3D, hey, it can be 3D and be good. So again, looking forward to trying them in the future. But always got to have the time. So don't punch anyone in the face, people.
awesome game, and the best example of how you do the Symphony of the Night engine in 3D.
No Mercy, a lot of people's
The
favorite
reason why I
wrestling
love
game.
this game so much is I've always been a big fan of open worlds, sandbox games, because most of the games I played growing up many of them weren't level by level by level. And I started off playing Castlevania with, I think it's Bloodlines in America, it's called the New Generation in Australia and Europe. And that's one of my favorite platformers on the Mega Drive. Absolutely love that game. It's one of the best introductions I could have to Castlevania. The second game I played was Symphony of the Night, and I was so amazed how they could incorporate a platforming game and add RPG elements just to make it so mind-blowing, such a memorable experience. I played the shit out of Symphony of the Night, and what's even more funny is I kind of dogged the game to begin with because I didn't get the true ending. I got the bad ending when I played it when I was about, I must have been 12. And then about a couple of years later when I got into high school, my friend told me about what I did wrong and told me the game wasn't finished. So I ran back to the video store and got like, oh my god, I there's more to this game, and really enjoyed it. Then proceeded to play Circle of the Moon. Absolutely loved that. One of my favorite first games I played in the Game Boy Advance. I love the DSS card system. I just got addicted to collecting the cards in that game. Honey Dissonance it's a weird pair for me. Aria of Sorrow, though, that is such an amazing Castlevania story. I love the cast of characters. Dawn of Sorrow was one of the best sequels to a game ever.
On this one.
And I remember waiting months on months for that game, like obsessively waiting, because I actually bought a Nintendo DS to play Dawn of Sorrow back in the day, and I kept going to my game store. It's like, is it in yet?
Use a Q-tip to kind of spread it through the stickiness.
Is it in yet? I was just waiting, and as soon as I got it in my hands, I couldn't wait to get home. I had to pop and play on the bus, but the problem was the bus engines was too high. I couldn't hear Michiru Yamane's music, so I was like, I have to wait till I get home, and then got home and didn't get off it.
The same thing when my buddy used to bring, if you remember on my channel here, I got my best gaming friend, Damon. When we met, it was in high school, and he had a Game Boy Advance, and I would just sit there and watch what he was playing. Like, that's how our friendship kicked off, through video games. And it was the same thing. Like, when you're on the bus, just the engines are so loud, you cannot hear anything going on in the games. And he would be playing Golden Sun, and of course RPGs have great music and stuff in it, and this whole time he's playing it, I can't hear a thing what's going on in the game. I just know he's sitting there just grinding it out in there and having a blast. So I completely understand where the swag man is coming from on this, because it's something we've all lived back in the day.
I was just entranced. And then you've got Portrait of Ruin, which was their 20th anniversary game, and it was one of the best love letter games I ever played. It was such a great follow-up to Bloodlines, which was my first Castlevania game, so I really loved Portrait of Ruin. It meant a lot more to me than probably the average Castlevania fan. You know, it was more personal to me. Lastly was the Order of Ecclesia, and that's a very weird Castlevania game, but I liked it nevertheless. It felt a little bit disconnected from the other Castlevania games, but I liked it nevertheless. And I shouldn't have said lastly before, because I want to mention Curse of Darkness a little bit more. Curse of Darkness is such an amazing game. It has an amazing story, amazing characters. I love the visuals.
The question is, this had a label on it already, but do I change it to make it uniform with the rest of my labels, or just leave it there? The thing is, I kind of want to leave it because this one does seem really sticky, unlike the ones I have on there. So I'm probably just going to leave it just so I don't have to clean up a nasty, sticky mess.
It's a really good follow-up to Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse on the NES. That game just hits so many balls out of the park. And it's also got one of the best mini-games, which I think is that Trial Tower. I keep forgetting the name of it. And you've also got the familiar system where you've got a pet monster that helps you out, and so engrossing. Absolutely love Castlevania Curse of Darkness. Like I said again, don't trust what other people say to you, if you find a copy of Curse of Darkness for either the PS2 or the Xbox, don't hesitate, go buy it. It's one of the best games you'll ever play. And that rounds off my love for Castlevania. Like I said, the franchise is not an RPG franchise throughout, but those particular games that was created by Igarashi, I think they are enough to want to call them an action RPG. So they're definitely number 10 on my list. Okay, number 9. And this series originated from the Game Boy Advance, and it's easily the first 2 games in this series is the best games on the Game Boy Advance. It's made by Camelot Software Planning. It's probably one of the best
Golden Sun
series that Nintendo ever invested in, and that is Golden Sun. I remember reading an article when Golden Sun was getting made.
Just talking about it.
That time I was reading who was making it, and it was Camelot, the former creators of Shining Force.
Another Pokemon Snap. How do I got 2? Oh, that's Pokemon Stadium. I could have sworn I did a Pokemon Snap already. If so, we'll find out when it's going on the shelves, but it wouldn't surprise me.
I was automatically on board without seeing
copies.
The visuals or hearing any pieces of music. And then I saw the visuals of the game, and the graphics, you had to understand at the time, looked amazing for a handheld system. So I said to myself, these amazing visuals, it's a game by the old creators of Shining Force. I am definitely in, but I didn't have a Game Boy Advance. So for my 15th birthday, my parents asked me what do I want more than anything. Well, Game Boy Advance and copy of Golden Sun. And I didn't think I was going to get it, but sure enough, I came home from high school. I was pretty down on my luck because I hated high school. And it was sitting there for me, and I just couldn't.
All right, let's think. A Game Boy Advance with a copy of Golden Sun. I forgot what the Game Boy's Advance cost back on launch. $100, nice. With a game, I think they were between 40 to 50. So $140 for a birthday present. And Australia, it's way more than here, so who knows what it was down there. So that's a pretty good birthday in my opinion.
Thank them enough for... That's probably one of the best birthdays I ever had, because I pretty much came
Mario
home,
Party 3.
thanked them for the wonderful gift, and then played.
Which I just got this yesterday as well. So that completes all the Mario Party games for the Nintendo 64 in the collection.
Played the crap out of that game until the batteries dried out. And that began my never-ending saga of buying more batteries. And you can say to myself, why didn't you invest in those power packs? Because most of them suck and are not reliable. So, but getting back on track, the reason why I love Golden Sun is I love the world.
64?
I've always been a big fan of anything that describes the elements, fire, wind, water, earth, and anything that sort of experiments beyond the 4 elements. And I think Golden Sun is the quintessential game that sort of brings the idea of the elements to the forefront and tells them in the best way possible with the synergy and the powers of the adepts and just the different cultures that relate to the adepts and their powers.
Mario Tennis.
It was such a great adventure, both games. And I will say this, as much as I didn't like Dark Dawn as much as those 2 games, I still really loved Dark Dawn nevertheless, and really enjoyed the entire series as a whole, and definitely one of my favorites. I gotta say,
already have
Motoi Sakuraba's soundtracks for all 3 games,
but it's
amazing.
It's actually the same
a lot
label,
of people talk
but they
about
got it
his
in the wrong direction
music for
me,
Tales
so
and
I'm
his
a
music
flop it.
for Star Ocean, but I'm a big fan of his Camelot soundtracks, and Golden Sun is definitely one of the reasons. If you want to play a great looking RPG with a great story, great characters, and just great world, don't go any further than Golden Sun. Number 8. I was struggling to put this on my list, but one of the games that's a part of this series is definitely one of my all-time favorite RPGs, and I surprised myself with the fact that I replayed it again on the Vita not too long ago, even longer than the PS2 version.
Vita?
Of course, I am talking about Persona. I was going to mention the entire Shin Megami Tensei Gambit, but the truth is, I haven't really been anything.
I am not a big Persona guy. I don't like all I know one of the main hooks in the game is all the stuff you do outside of like the combat stuff and the dungeon crawling. I hate that stuff. I don't want to do the social aspect of it. I found that stuff boring, so I could never really get in Persona.
Outside of Persona, I have played a lot of SMT games, but for some odd reason, I have never been able to finish them. The first Shin Megami Tensei game, I came within 20% of beating the game and did something really stupid and kind of threw me off the game entirely. Nocturne, I stopped pretty early. It was a great game, but I felt something else was calling. I could go on about what other games, and I do want to beat these other SMT games at another point. But on this list, I want to mention how much I love Persona 3 and Persona 4. I'm still playing through 1, and I need to get to 2 as soon as possible. But based on Persona 3 and Persona 4 alone, it's easily there at number 8 because the...
Fun fact for Stevo Supremo here, for those who haven't been long-time viewers of the channel, you'll know that back in whenever we went to Too Many Games, I want to say it was the second time we went to Too Many Games, not the first trip. Alex would remember more of this stuff than me, but I took Persona 2 Innocent Sin. I think that's the PSP version of it. I think that's what it was called. I had the collector's edition box set at the time, and I was like, you know what? I'm not a big Persona person. I'm going to bring this with me to Too Many Games to Trade to get some credit for it. And with that trade credit, we got one of my most sought-after items at the time. This bad boy right here. Super Metroid, complete in box. There was a guy who had 2 copies of it. One was in better shape at a higher price, but it was like the conditioning of it, which that's still in pretty good condition. The conditioning wasn't like a big deal to me. I just wanted to have that complete in box in the collection. And I want to say it was $140 is what I paid. So let's take a trip down memory lane with some price charting and look up Super Metroid. Of course, you guys won't be able to see it, but Super Metroid, complete in box right now, which I think it's going through some hype because of the new game coming out, because it's like shooting up like crazy these days, it seems. Well, no, looks like it's been this high for a while now. Interesting. But price charting has it at about $375 right now. And if we go back, I want to say, no, it might have been like $125 is what I paid. Because I think it was 2016 when we went there. And 2016, it does like a price chart at $125. We have a pickups video recorded of it where we talk about the prices, so be curious to go back and see. So within like a 10-year span, it's, man, tripled in price almost. Is that math incorrectly? Holy smokes. So now let's look at Persona 2 to see how that box set is actually, see if that's kind of increased in value like that did. All right, so back in the day, I bought it from GameStop, brand new for $30. It was like $29.99. I do not, if it was 2016, it says the complete in box price charts around $27.99, like pretty cheap still. It had a little bump, it looks like, in 2015. But yeah, currently that game sitting at complete in box is $170. So when you go like 30 to 170, the price isn't as high, but it more than tripled. It like, man, 170 divided by 30 is way more. I can't do that math in my head. Yeah, that's almost it's 5.5 times multiplied its money. So maybe we should have kept that one, but don't care. I love Metroid. Metroid stayed with me.
Atmosphere of these games, especially in Persona 4. Persona 4 is a game that I keep
Forsaken
saying has a
64?
great style.
Oh, we didn't
Whenever you
put
watch a
Glover on yet. Hold
trailer,
on.
it's just got this great sense of style that just hits you in the face. And you're just like, wow, this game is funky and hip and all these wonderful things you just wouldn't say about a game, and just attracts you. And that initial attraction got me to buy a game, and I've never played a Shin Megami Tensei game in my life before Persona 4. And
Now
I popped it
Forsaken.
in, and it was a religious experience because I was kind of playing it in my old room, which is this kind of, I wouldn't say it's a shed, but it's sort of disconnected to the house. And when I was living there in Australia, especially where I live, we had the worst rainy seasons ever. And it kind of helped the effect whenever I would have those scenes in the game for the Midnight Channel. It would be raining outside, and then the Midnight Channel would come on, and it'd be raining.
Speaking of raining seasons, right now in old Moses Lake, Washington, we've been getting hit by rain like crazy this year. And I've only been here 4 years, and normally it doesn't rain at all here. We're kind of like a desert area where we're at. The first year I was here, we got slammed by a winter storm that was pretty crazy. The next few winters, like hardly any snow, and then we get hardly any rain here. During the spring and summer months, like your grass is like always dying. You can't, they don't allow you to water enough to keep it alive because the restrictions here. But it's just horrible. But for some reason, this fall has been insane with rain, and it stinks because at the school I work at, I have some pictures here I'll show you guys. It is like we have a horrible leak in our roof right now in one of our side of the schools, one of the buildings. There's leaks on different parts of the buildings, but private school, you got to find funding in different ways, and it can be tough to replace a roof can be quite expensive. And where in the world are my pictures of it? One moment, one moment. Did I delete it? Oh, I deleted a lot of pictures yesterday. That might have been part of it. Well, good thing I sent the pictures to someone in a text message. So, boom. Here it is. Sorry, I got the video up on my phone. Or you don't want to see the trash can. That's helping catch the water. But you could see like the big spot in the ceiling there. It is just horrible, and water is just was constantly just a steady stream like through the roof. It's about to cave in. So yeah, the rain, it's always a good thing to have some rain, but still it kind of stinks when you got a big hole in your roof. So we got to get it fixed, hoping and praying for some funding and money to get it all done, but we'll see.
Outside, and because it's this small little room not connected to the house, there's not really any way to
64.
get out there without getting totally drenched. So of course when I'm in there, I'm usually in there for the night, so I get super immersed because I couldn't hear the outside world, and it was just a surreal experience. And I grew attached to the characters and the world of Persona with Persona 4 and the town of Inaba and everyone who lives there. And well, after I beat Persona 4 on the PS2, I said to myself, that's easily one of the best games I ever played. When the Vita version came out, I didn't think I was going to power play it. But as soon as I picked it up, I just couldn't get away from it. And I spent about 30 more hours playing the golden than I did the original version.
It's tough to pick up games of that
there's a lot
length to just
like about
replay
Persona
again.
4, whether it's the dungeon system. I usually don't like it when you have a little bit of freedom in the games. Like, I like more traditional RPGs where you can go in and out of dungeons your own leisure if you're feeling a pinch. But with Persona, you have to stay there as it counts at that time period. If you leave,
Donkey
you
Kong
forfeit
64?
that time. And to begin with, I didn't really like it, but as the game progressed, I loved it. and I couldn't see myself playing the game without it. And the time management system is something that in a lot of games it can go wrong and it can punish the player. But with Persona 4 and Persona 3 in general, it was probably perfected the most, and it felt more rewarding if you knew how to manage your time appropriately, whether you wanted to go into the TV, or you wanted to increase your rank with one of the friends, one of the
Collector's Edition,
different many characters that you could. And I got engrossed into every element in the game. In the first playthroughs, I always like to be
which I wonder if that might be on
the bookworm. I always like to max out intelligence first. That's why in the second playthrough I don't need to study and do all that jazz. I can be more sociable and all that jazz. So yes, definitely.
It is kind of a variant.
4. And Persona 3 as well. I remember passing on Persona 3 way back in the day, but after 4 I immediately went out there and bought 3. And I like 3. There's a lot to like about Persona 3, but I think I like the dungeon system of the TV a lot more than Tartarus in Persona 3. It's just a little bit repetitive, but I did love the characters.
The labels look the same,
and
so
the environment of Persona 3.
Even though
so
this is the
I am most definitely looking forward
page.
to Persona Q, and most definitely looking forward to Persona 5.
But they look the same as the other one, so I'll just use the normal one first.
Meet the Dell PC with Intel Core Ultra. It's a great holiday helper.
Gotta rub the ads.
And during our Black Friday...
Oh, next up, we got old school Pete Dorr showing us his PlayStation 2 collection part 1. Again, Pete, one of the retro gaming goats of YouTube as far as collecting. Still watch him to this day. Watch him stream every time he comes on. Like I've said, I'll put him on. Even if I can't watch it, I sit there and lurk and have it on just so he can get any revenue from it he can or any recognition from it. And then bounce in and out. He started Dragon Quest 1 recently, which was fun watching that. But Pete plays all sorts of cool stuff on his live streams. Some TCG stuff once in a while. So, yeah, let's get into his PS2 collection. This is from... how many years ago was this? 16? 16 years ago. So 16 years ago, his PS2 collection, which I'm sure has grown from this point. But you know there's going to be some heat even in this from 16 years ago.
Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you my PlayStation 2 collection. And for this video, I've decided that I'm not going to rush myself. I'm not going to limit myself to, one part or 2 parts. Because there are so many great games that I just want to talk about that I need more than 5 or 10 seconds to explain. And so, I don't want to go over 4 parts, but I'm not going to limit myself, and I'm not going to rush myself.
I think it goes 4 parts.
Smuggler's Run. If you had a PS2 early on, you most likely had and played this game. I had a lot of fun with this one. I had more fun just riding around, exploring the environments, and running over animals and running from the cops than doing the actual missions. Disgaea Hour of Darkness. I bought this game when it was still considered hard to find and rare, and then they did the reprinting on it. I just couldn't really get into it. To me, it was just a bit overwhelming, and I didn't feel like getting into another strategy RPG. I should have given it more of a chance than the 2 hours I played with it, but I just really couldn't get into it. Shadow Hearts. This is a great RPG. I like to call this a horror RPG because I always tell people it's the only RPG I ever played where you're in a cannibalistic town. I mean, it's just awesome. Your main character can transform into like all these different demons and everything. Very interesting. I love the setting in this game. It's a traditional RPG. Worth tracking down if you can find it. It's becoming quite rare. Orphan Scion of Sorcery. This is another launch title for the PlayStation 2, and I actually got this for free. But I kind of enjoyed it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe because I got it for free and I was like, oh wow, a free PS2 game. But I thought it was pretty interesting. It's been years since I played it, so I can't remember everything about it. I mainly remember just the really bad voice acting, but I remember the battles weren't too bad. Final Fantasy X2. This is a Final Fantasy game that I haven't played for more than an hour. I just really could not get into the whole setting and the story. Maybe because I never finished Final Fantasy X, but, the battle system seemed like it had promise with the job change and everything, but I never got far in this one. Maybe one day I'll get back to it. Savage Skies, I never played this one. I got it really cheap at a yard sale. Quake 3 Revolution. I remember having a lot of fun in bot matches with this game. The visuals and everything. It's very fast, very fast paced. If you ever played a Quake game, you know what to expect. Devil Summoner 2. This is one that I just picked up recently, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. I like to think of it as like a mature, dark-themed Pokemon game because you recruit all of your monsters through conversation systems. You have to kind of talk to them and get them on your side so that they join you. It's got some pretty comical stuff in there, and it's pretty enjoyable. Emerald Fantasia, and if you guys haven't noticed, I do own a lot of RPGs, so just bear with me here for those that aren't a fan of the genre. This is a very early PS2 title. I rented it and I got really far in it actually. It runs on like a time system, you know, where there's an internal clock and you can only recruit certain characters and do certain things at certain times of the day. So sometimes that was a pain. I'd see how this would be very boring today. I mean, the story and everything is not that interesting and the graphics are pretty bad. Gungrave. I've heard a lot of great things about this. I've actually never played it though. Jak 2. I still prefer the original Jak and Daxter over any other Jak games that came out afterwards. It's not a bad game by any means, but I definitely did not like the turn that they took with the vehicles and the weapons and everything. You know, they still kept that open environment feel, which is great, but I still prefer the original. Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. This is a great RPG. I got into this much later than I had hoped. I thought I was going to get this on launch, but I ended up getting it much later on. The graphics and the environments in this game are just downright trippy and creepy. Awesome game, though, if you can find it. Really unique RPG. Wizardry Tale of the Forsaken Land. I just got this one recently as well. I've been trying to track it down because I've been in the mood for a great traditional...
This is my Banjo-Tooie, not for resale, Starlight Fun Light Center edition. So of course there's not going to be any type of sticker for that in here. Maybe there might be. Like I just doubt they would have it.
Old school dungeon crawl. This is actually the first Wizardry game that I've ever played, and I do realize that this is, you know, like a spin-off of the main series. But everything's first person. You're going through the dungeons, just leveling up, and you go back to town. It's my type of game, though. I like it, enjoy it. Hand-drawn visuals and everything. Tribes Aerial Assault. I will always remember this game because I paid like $70 to have this shipped overnight to me because I thought this was going to be like the godsend of online PS2 games. It wasn't. There was no voice chat, no text chat, just pre-in-game lines that you would have to choose. I mean, it was pretty fun at times where you fly around and everything on your jetpacks, but man, not worth 70 bucks. Eco. I was wondering when this one was going to show up because this is my favorite game of all time. The premise is very simple. You're in a castle, you're a kid that's trapped in a castle, you break free, you find a girl and you try and escape. It's a little bit more complicated than that in terms of the whole background story to it, but this game just won me over with everything that it had. You know, the graphics, the whole premise of just being in a castle all alone, solving puzzles that I like to call them environmental puzzles because it's not like, hey, here's block A, B, and C, match up tiles A, B, and C to those blocks. It's not like that. The puzzles are built into the environments where, you know, you have to look for the ledges that you have to grab onto, the cracks in the walls. I mean, they do have block pushing on the switches and, you know, climate up change, and they have levers and everything, but trust me, if you ever see this game, it's getting pretty hard to find. You have to buy it. Dark Cloud. If any of you watched my video on top 10 most addicting games, this was one of them. I just found the leveling up system
Paper Mario
to be
again.
So much fun.
Already has
you
one,
didn't
so
level
I'll
up
leave
your
it
actual
there.
character, but instead you
And I think we only got one more to go.
And you know, there was challenge in that your weapons would break, and when you're crawling in the dungeons, you know, you have to get water so you don't get thirsty and you start to die and everything.
Stack,
and
but I know where there is
repair powders to keep your weapons healed. I just found it to be really addicting. You know, it's a dungeon crawl RPG because when you're not crawling in the dungeons, you're in the town. Where another unique aspect is where you're actually piecing the towns back together. You know, placing the houses where you want. Based upon the items that you found in the dungeon. So it's a lot of fun. It's a little bit dated in terms of, you know, other RPGs you can get now, but still worth tracking down.
Lego Racers I recently acquired.
I put thousands of hours into. Every day I'd come home from school and I would play this until I went to bed, you know, 10 hours a day, nonstop.
So calm.
Very addicting. The community on this one right now is almost dead. You know, there's still like 100 people on there every night or something, but classic online game. very much enhanced by this was the first PS2 game to allow voice chat.
The sticker is insanely
Ratchet and
sticky.
Clank Going Commando, another great Ratchet and Clank game. I actually really prefer the new one on the PS3 over the others. I mean, the original is also very good, but this is a great platforming series that everyone needs to check out. Also, I have the original Ratchet and Clank, which is really good as well. Make sure you track this series down. Romancing Saga. I never got too far in this one because it's presented so much differently than other RPGs, and I'm not too familiar with the whole Saga series. I know that most of them are probably like this, where you start off and you pick between different characters, and they each have their own different storylines, and they're like sort of like mini RPGs in one. I couldn't get into it. The character designs are a little weird, but the graphics are really nice. They look hand-drawn. Gauntlet Dark Legacy. This is another early PS2 title that is a lot of fun. I remember I played this many years ago with a friend, and we had a lot of fun going through it. I can't really remember a lot of the specifics on it, but it's, you know, it's similar to the Baldur's Gate series, I guess you can say. Growlancer Heritage of War. I just picked this one up not that long ago. I haven't played it, but it does come in a big box with a whole bunch of goodies like art books and CDs and all the buttons and
like
cards
my
and everything.
scraper
It's got
for
a
this
crazy
one.
amount of stuff in there. Shadow of Destiny. This is another launch title for the PS2 that I wish I had picked up earlier on because I waited years until I got it. It's sort of unique for the PS2 because we didn't have many adventure games, and this is really one of the closest things to it on the system besides Monkey Island. Track this one down. I never finished it, but those of you that are fans of adventure games, you know, no combat, nothing, all about the story, track this one down. Another copy of Final Fantasy X2. Didn't even know I had this. Rad or Robot Alchemic Drive. This is a very unique game. I remember trying the demo for this, and I was like amazed at how innovative this game was. You actually fight with giant robots, you know, 1 versus 1. But the unique thing is, you actually control a human on the ground, and that human has a remote control that controls the robot. So like, you use the shoulder buttons to move his arms and his legs, and the joysticks to, you know, punch and do your special attacks. Totally unique, wide open city combat. It's awesome. If you ever see this game, it's getting kind of hard to find. Try it out. Definitely a very awesome game. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Those of you that know me, though, know that I'm still trying to get into the Metal Gear Solid series, so I haven't really gotten around to playing this beyond a demo. God of War 2. I picked this one up. You know, I'm very surprised at myself that I didn't buy this at launch because of how much of a fan I was of the original. I actually didn't even play it that much. I don't know. It must have came out at the wrong time. I don't know what the heck was out when this came out, but for some reason I never picked it up, and I still haven't made it that far in it. I'll get around to it, though, I know.
It's what we all say,
SOCOM
Pete.
3, my least favorite in the SOCOM series. Still addictive. You know, I put a couple of 100 hours into it, but my least favorite. Fantavision, another early launch title for the PS2, and, you know, if you ever see this game for a couple of bucks, because that's about what it goes for now, try it out. It's a unique puzzler where you're just blasting off fireworks, and it's a very short game, very, you know, relaxing. Track it down. You can get this for a couple of bucks, and it's definitely worth a try. Bloody Roar 3. This is one of my favorite fighting games. I just loved how you can transform into
that
beasts.
sticker
and,
was
you know, this is a
insane to
button
get
masher.
off.
Button masher fans, go for this series. You know, I played the other ones after I played Bloody Roar 3, but this is a great game. I loved it. Eternal Poison, picked this up recently. Haven't had a chance to play it yet. EverQuest Online Adventures, and I later on brought the expansion for that. Now, I bought this because I never played the original on the PC, and I played this for a little bit. You know, I had some fun with it. Of course, the online fees and everything, it was, I eventually quit, but this was really my first online MMO RPG ever. If you don't count, you know, Diablo 2 or something, this is the first one.
Meet the Dell PC with Intel Core Ultra.
Cartoon X? Yeah.
Star Wars Starfighter. Now, this is a significant title in my
I've got-
collection because
save
this is
that for
actually the first
last.
PS2 game I ever owned. I didn't get the PS2 at launch,
It was
but
the
this is one of the
NWO
earlier
World
titles,
Tour.
and this is the first one that I picked up. I'll admit it wasn't the best game to go with for my first title, but it was a lot of fun, and as a Star Wars fan, I really enjoyed it. Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. Out of the PS2 Ratchet and Clanks, this would probably be my favorite one. I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it's a great series. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Now, the funny thing about this game is I kind of picked it up on a whim to get revenge at a woman in retail. I went to go pick up some M-rated game. I forget what it was in KB Toys, and the woman wouldn't let me buy it because it was rated M. And this is the first time that had ever happened to me as a kid. So I had to go get my dad, bring him in, and I was like, you know what? To show this woman that I can buy M-rated games, I'm gonna pick up Grand Theft Auto Vice City for the hell of it. So that's how I got this game. I never played it too much. I just bought it because of that. Kind of silly.
Plus the move 99. It's the best one,
Kingdom
Pete.
Hearts. Now, here's one that I do not stop getting PMs about. Everybody's always asking me, what do you think about Kingdom Hearts? Have you played Kingdom Hearts? Do you like Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2 better? I'll tell you, I have not played Kingdom Hearts 2. I've tried playing through Kingdom Hearts 2 times now. I've gotten pretty far each time, you know, maybe 10 hours in, but I just simply lose interest. I don't know what it is. Maybe it gets too repetitive with the combat. I don't know. It's a great game, though. I love the collaboration between Disney and Square Enix, but or Squaresoft when this came out. Sorry,
99.
but you know, maybe one day I'll finally finish it because it is a great game. But it just, I lose interest after a while. Brothers in Arms, never played it, still sealed. Auto Modelista, me and my friends had high hopes for this, that it was going to be an awesome online racer. It wasn't. After the novelty of the cel-shaded graphics in a racing game wore off, this was a very mediocre game. Star Ocean Until the End of Time. This is a huge RPG.
In the Zone
and
98.
that's the main
Maybe
reason
it's
why I stopped playing
NBA
it,
in the
because I could see
Zone?
how it was a good game, but I honestly never... It's hard to find the time investment to sink into a game like this
Yep,
that's
NBA
so
in
big.
the Zone. Okay.
Maybe one of these days I'll get around to it. Mr. Mosquito. Here's a very unique title where you actually play as a mosquito and you go around a house, and the object of the game is to suck blood and not get killed. If you never heard of this game, pick it up. I'm telling you, it's so
That is
weird
one
and
I
wacky.
do wanna
If you're
play.
a fan
Hear
of
about it all the
strange,
time.
quirky games, get this game.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Way of the Samurai. I honestly don't remember too much about this game, so I can't really tell you much about it. I know I've played it, but I can't remember much. God Hand. Now here's a game that's faithful to the old school beat 'em ups in a 3D environment that I've played in a very long time. It's extremely hard. I'll admit it. I still haven't even gotten past the first level because I didn't buy it that, you know, I picked it up kind of recently. But the first level is brutal. You know, they kind of just drop you into the game and you get your ass kicked. But the moves are over the top and it's a very funny game. Some of the stuff they do in here, worth tracking down, definitely. Taru, man.
I think he
Now
played through
here's
it
a
on
game that I
stream
tried a demo out of
within the
and I
last year or
simply
two.
loved.
God hand.
And I was willing to pay $100 just to get this game because of how much fun I had with it. It's a music game where it's simple. All you do is you're pressing, you know, just the face buttons, but once you hold down that button, you have to use your joystick to trace a line on the screen. There's only, you know, it's a very short game. You can definitely beat it in like 45 minutes to an hour, but man, is this game fun.
It's a good one,
It was
though.
ported to the PSP and it was also reprinted on the PS2, so it's a lot easier to get now than it was. If you've never played Guitar Man and you love music games, get it. It's awesome. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. This is an excellent action RPG. One thing that really stood out to me out of everything in this game, and those of you that played this game early on like me will remember, the water effects look amazing. I mean, they're, you know, they're like prehistoric compared to the water effects now, but, you know, it was the first PS2 title that I played that had like realistic ripples in the water. It looked amazing, but other than that, it was a really great dungeon crawl RPG. Twisted Metal Black. I loved this game. I was so happy with it when I picked this game up. I was literally like blown away by how much fun I was having with a brand new Twisted Metal game on the PS2. Extremely dark in tone, everything about it, you know, the environments, the music, the dark graphics, even the stories of the characters, I was hooked. This is a classic. Dark Cloud 2. Now, as much as I love Dark Cloud 1, you would expect me to love Dark Cloud 2 just as much. Well, the funny thing is, I think I've tried maybe 2 or 3 times to get into this game, but I simply cannot do it.
All right, last but not least, Mike Piazza. In the Zone. We could not find it last time. So let's see. Maybe it's in the MLB section. There it is. We found it. We found it. So the final sticker going on. To complete our N64 labeling and cleaning. Just making sure there was one more stack I did not miss. So there we go. Again, I have 109 games in this collection. and about 20 of them, 21, 22, are complete in box. So what? About 90 something labels we went through, or I mean 80 something labels we went through. Not too bad. So cool deal. And we still have the rest of them here. It's actually pretty cool. It's almost like a little checklist of the games I'm missing. So it's kind of neat seeing like what we have left on certain pages. Some are really empty, some barely touched. So yeah. Gives us a goal to keep track of stuff with. But I got my Game Eye app, so but a lot of these times with N64 stuff, like I don't realize what games were even out for it. Something like Bassmasters 2000. How do I not have that? Or any of the baseball ones here. Wait, I have Battle Tanks. Hold the phone. This ain't making sense. There are several games from my collection missing here that I know I have. So there must be. Oh, I think I know. I have one of those N64 boxes, like cases, like old school. You can store your games in upstairs, and I bet they're in there because I'm missing War Gods. I know that's a game on. Yeah, War Gods right there. I see it. Battle Tanks, I have. What else on here do I know I have that we're not seeing? I know I got Dr. Mario 64. I can open that Game Eye app and see all this. I think I just picked up Excite Bike 64. I have F-Zero X. So yeah, there's a stash missing somewhere. And I'm going to have to locate it because that is really annoying. Like I can open up the Game Eye app again and show you guys. Games, if we sort it by title. Oh, wrong way. Hit the arrow. There it goes. Bust a move, castle. Charlie's Blast. I don't remember. I think we did put that on there. Yeah. Donkey Kong, Earthworm. I know we did that. GoldenEye, Hexen. Jeopardy. Yeah, we did that. That's complete in box one. Kirby, Zelda, Lego. Mace. I know I did that one. So I'm also going through here deleting. Actually, the number might be different because I forgot to delete my copies that I got the complete in box copies of. So my titles, the amount I have in the collection is probably going to be different once I delete these. Where is my? I know I got F-Zero, but it's not showing up on my list. All right, there is some stuff not showing up on my list that I know I have. I don't know why I don't have them entered in here. There's Wave Race. Delete that one since I got it complete in box. I think that gets rid of all the CIB ones. All right. So the new number for the collection is 105 out of the 296. 105 out of 296. And yeah, I know I have some of these other ones like F-Zero. I have them in pickups videos, like I've showed them off. That stinks. Now I got to go looking for them, and who knows where these things are at. So, but for now, that's going to put a ribbon in what we've done so far until I find these copies where they're at somewhere, because I know there's at least 5 to 10 that I'm not seeing in here. So we find them, I'll label them off camera, and we'll start doing some more stuff. We'll start doing some game stuff like on camera. I just picked up a good day for fishing, or a nice day for fishing. Started playing it yesterday, the physical version. Love that game. So maybe we'll play a little bit of that streaming sometime. But yeah, tomorrow, everyone, enjoy your Thanksgiving with your loved ones, your family, whoever you spend it with. Just have a good time. Just remember the things you should be thankful for. I know I'm thankful for my family, thankful for my Savior, and just thankful for a lot in life right now. It's been awesome. No complaints here. Things are going pretty good. So just thankful for many things. So you guys just remember this time of year, the stuff you're thankful for too, and just have a happy